and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
Hello and welcome once again. In this segment and this channel message, we will go deeper into the topic of what does energy movement truly mean and how can we become these powerful anchors of energy. So after coming home from my beautiful trip in the not karmic Alps, whatever resonates in the moment, I actually got this beautiful message while doing a Reiki session, the energy work. And the message was that Gaia, as a being who is, creating her own ascension pathway and process, really values the work. And the work is not just the work we think we do. The work is simply walking with golden footsteps on the planet. And she has shared something like the being of light, who has so much love for this, for the planet, for the nature, for creation of all these elements and how they play together and their intertwining journeys, that the work that is being done is deeply valued, because for Earth this is like experiencing a cosmic bliss. So people who are able to translate this diamond light consciousness, wherever you go on Earth, this is being felt, so you're being guided or called to particular places. A lot of people at this time, because of this energy movement purpose in particular, are being guided to either move locations and do energy work there, or they're guided to particular places of the planet that call out for their light. So if you are noticing yourself being a part of this journey this month, or from this month forward more increasingly than before, it can also be a sense like going somewhere where you always wanted to go, but you felt the timing wasn't right, and then you received the calling. And the message coming through was that we don't always know how this will play out for us individually, because for me, even though it might appear like I always know everything, I always know, like through the feeling of the heart, I feel like where I'm being called, but I don't always know when, how, where, how it will play out. And then I just let go. And then when I receive a call, it's really intense usually. It's like this green light, and it's like, go, go, go now, okay? So the first part to embrace within this awareness of, partaking in this journey of moving energy is trusting yourself where you're actually being pulled, is trusting this life force. And for you to understand this life force mastery journey, you have to know how this energy feels when it comes to your body. That's why being anchored, grounded, rooted is so important, because if you're not grounded, you have many ideas, but it feels like they're always passing through. They never feel like solid or ripe, It is very important for us to know that these bubbles of light, they're passing through us, and as they're passing through us, they're creating waves of energy movement. So for us to truly be movers of energy, what does this mean? It means that, first of all, we're embracing a path of the unknown. We're embracing a path that's not static, and we're embracing a path where our own contribution within this field of light is deeply and immeasurably valued. So we have to also release all doubt, which tells us, I'm not doing anything when I'm just, walking. From my own experience, I have to share with you that when I go and I climb mountains, and just recently I have actually climbed the highest peak of Karnak Alps, it's above 2,700 meters or something. And it was physically quite intense for me. I don't think I was in top shape this year because the summer was more like studious for me. But every time I go and I walk, I'm just walking. I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking about something else or wanting to be somewhere else. I'm just in the body. So they're showing me that when the body so deeply engages with the earth, that there's almost like no thoughts left, or nothing you're thinking about or, pondering about. It's just you're so deeply present with just moving the energy in your body. And this is actually when you do it consciously, which means you're aware of this process and that you can be a vessel for this process. It's almost like you make an agreement that says, you know what, this is something I would really like to do. This is something I would really like to experience. So when I take a walk or hike, I'm not just going for my daily routine Monday walk, mundane or Monday, whatever suits you. You're actually infusing this with the realm of magic. And recently someone shared with me that when you look at my pictures, they never know what the element's going to come through, and it's always a surprise what next aspect of creation they will meet through my photos. It's because, you know, my realm, my consciousness creates these photographs. It's not just making physically a picture, but it's the way I see and where I recognize beauty and how I value beauty. And beauty coming through me as a mirror. So people sometimes say, "Why you live in a picture, you know, in a photograph?" Well, I just take the aspects that really resonate in that moment. And I do love photography in that way. But a lot of it comes from my deep connection with that, with the land, you know, so the land is my reflection. And not all aspects of the land are experiencing their highest potential as yet. So let's say I'm making photographs of beautiful places. Not necessarily I will make a photograph when I'm picking trash somewhere along the beach. You know, mountain river beaches, they're very polluted. And it looks beautiful from the far away. You know, I just don't have a reason for making such pictures or photographs, but they also do exist. So people who would say, well, you always live in this dream reality, it's heaven on earth. Well, the heaven on earth is basically you. The heaven on earth is you living your Christed consciousness as an extension of that consciousness, wanting to embody itself just so naturally, so organically, so blissfully on earth. Doesn't mean you will always be in the state of bliss. Doesn't mean things will always go and flow for you, okay? When you learn to move the energy, I have to share this with you, sometimes you will come across what I call roadblocks. And they're not blockages like, oh, this is not meant for me. But when you follow the flow of life force, it's never about, oh, I want to go to this peak or in that day, you know? I can make a plan in my head, and I do sometimes plan ahead, but not so much. I really like to go in a spontaneous way. So I don't really have maps. And people, when I meet them in the mountains, they always ask me, don't you have a map? I'm like, no, I just put the destination in my, you know, there's this webpage we have, there's descriptions of certain places and how to go there, and I print out that description, I, you know, print screen. Sometimes I use navigation, and sometimes I just use a combination of, you know, everything, but the emphasis is on my intuition. Just feeling the pull. I feel this pull. Like, oh, this mountain is calling me, or that place is calling me. And sometimes I will be perfectly a match. And sometimes it will be something is like, I would more consider a roadblock. Just recently I had this experience where at the end of the journey, I desperately wanted to see this mountain valley, but it was already getting dark and I was about to go home. You know, the energy felt complete. But I said, no, just because I'm already here, you know, instead of before I drive there again, because it's not like, you know, right across the street for me. I do have to go to another country, right? Although it's relatively close, but still. I said, I just need to see this, right? And I go and I don't do a right turn. I go back. I want to do the right turn, but it's the, you know, the direction that's prescribed. I'm like, oh, heck, I need to turn and then go back. And the third blockage was like, I've never seen so many sheep there. There was the shepherd with like a whole flood. Imagine a whole sea of sheep. I've never seen so many. I'm like, ooh, I just gotta go back with the car or they're gonna flood me over with their sheepness. And I was just laughing. I'm like, you see, he's like, you just easily recognize the signs. So why am I saying about this? Why am I talking about this? Is because to move energy, to learn to move energy, does not just mean, okay, there's willingness first for you to do the work. You get excited. You're like, yeah, I want to do it consciously. I want to become a vessel for this energy movement that is planetary at the level. So to move the life force within yourself that will reflect the life force of the planet, which is being elevated, means that first you have to harmonize within your own energy. It means you can't do things out of ego, okay? That's the first step. Okay, the first step is willingness to do this. Then the willingness to override the ego and this notion of, oh, I want to see this and that and this view. And you will meet people, you know, when I go to the mountains or whatever, I meet people who are approaching mountains more from a point of a destination. And they always go like, have you been here? Have you been there? Oh, this is a nice goal. Have you climbed this? You climbed that? I'm like, you know what? Wait a minute. That's not me. They don't know, you know, what I do. I'm like, shush, shush your mouth and do your own thing. But the thing is, you can't get swayed by such thing, okay? So you have to really flow. You have to observe the energy when the energy is flowing and it feels like it's inviting, and sometimes the energy doesn't feel so inviting. Like the mountains, okay? People always see mountains on my pictures when it's beautiful weather. They look gorgeous, right? Of course. In beautiful weather, everything looks gorgeous. But mountains, just as they're beautiful and amazing, delightful, when the weather is not so perfect, they look kind of scary sometimes, even and volatile, okay? You don't want to be on top of the mountain in that weather, trust me. You don't see anything. You can climb yourself up in a weird direction, and you don't want to see what's there next. And it might be a cliff for you and a cliffhanger. You don't want to do that, okay? So energy, moving energy work has nothing to do with the specifics of where you need to be, but it truly relates to the energy that feels inviting. And when the energy feels inviting and it's just calling you out and you follow that flow, and it feels like you're opening yourself up. And basically when you yourself are opening up and you're feeling free, you feel that free spirit within you, you feel elevated, uplifted, you feel that wave of illumination, you're at the same time, you're bringing that to the planetary level. Which means that basically you and the planet are one. You definitely are. But the more aware you become of this, you see the planet and where its life force currently is. Like I said, it can feel inviting, or it can feel a little bit like, you know, a little like friction-based. And you have to learn to observe. So, knowing that your inner work, when you move the energy within you, within your cells, and that means physically moving as well, your cells begin to vibrate with this pulsation that's being fed off the physical movement itself. Okay? So when this is being done, this is all happening on a very microscopic level, which we don't see. But why do people feel so good, you know, when they go for a nature hike or something like that? It has a different sort of elevation than having, I don't know, a party at home and dancing or something like that. It's a totally different energy. It might not be as creative as when you dance or paint a picture. You know, when I go for mountain hikes, it doesn't feel, oh, it's so creative, I'm creating something. But it's creation at a different level. It's creation at the planetary level when you share your own reinforcement of the body with the planetary body. And eventually you can feel a locking of energies. So I remember one day when I said I'm going to this highest peak, and this will be on Saturday, but then something happened and the energy moved me in a different direction. And then I said, okay, on Sunday. And boy, I was blessed, because Sunday I had such a gorgeous weather. It was warm, there was no wind, it was crystal clear skies, and that was the only day when actually there was no chemtrails. So sometimes the energy work you do will involve beautiful things and beautiful landscapes and perfect conditions. And sometimes you're also, as a mover of energy, will encounter situations where you will feel like, oh, this weather is against me. But you're actually moving energy as well. So today we had finally some fogginess that, you know, dissolved. There was sunshine coming through after those weird 3 days, right? But then I came here because I was guided to come to my twin lakes. And here it was still cloudy, and it was basically cloudy like this all day, because the high mountain peaks that will not want to reveal themselves yet. And then a part of me wanted to judge this and say, oh, why did I come here? It was sunny there back at home. But there's a reason why you, as a mover of energy, need to be where you are at this time. It has nothing to do with conditions or expecting of your own judgment system that would say, oh, I would prefer this or that. So what is the main focus, and the reason why I'm sharing these things with you is to be an energy mover in terms of planetary service requires a lot of training. It is a new invitation for you, and it is exciting, but it's not the same as simply having a hobby of climbing or walking, or it is different. It is a commitment. It is devotion to the fields of the planetary structure that invite you, and they want to interlock with you. And when, like I said, that engagement of depth and devotion comes through, it will feel like the energies have truly interlocked. And this is when the energy work starts to penetrate through your body. Your body is the vehicle for that to occur at the level of the planetary body. But because we always think of the planetary body just as the physical surroundings, right? The physical landscapes, the physical elements of Earth, the elements we can see, we don't always recognize the full potential. We don't always see our energetic imprint or the impact of the work we're doing. It's the same as with our own bodies, right? We say, oh, we're doing physical workout and this kind of workout and the food we bring in our bodies, but then we neglect the component that's basically energetic. So this is very much the same. So for you to be a mover of energy in that way in the planetary service, the first commitment you must do is commitment to yourself, that you will know all of the body, all of your body, that sometimes the needs or the requirement of the whole, when your body is seeking that interlocking with the planetary structure, from the physical to all the energetic different planes of existence that are there, it will have to override your, like I said, your expectations that would say, I'm going out and doing this and that. Because I remember years before when I didn't yet do this work, I wasn't yet that tired because I wasn't transmitting so much life force and doing this energy work. So I could have many more runs, or I could go and do much more energetically. I felt so powerful. And now I don't feel that powerful all the time, because when I move a lot of energy that will stimulate a lot of the cellular body work, then I will then have to tend to, and it will have to integrate through me. So a part of this work means that surrendering this idea of how your body first of all needs to look, because when you're doing the kind of body work that I'm not talking about here, which is going to the gym and looking fit and ideal and perfect body and muscles and abs and whatnot, my body's not perfect as well. Not at all. Completely not. And I have moments when, even myself, I would tend to judge it. It's like, I would like to have this and that. But then when I do this energy movement, I forget about that. I simply feel so joyful, so radiant, just knowing that this field of Gaia is calling me to where I need to be in each moment. So someone recently sent me a video about something related to nature. I don't know, an animal channeler or something like that. They said, for you, because you like nature so much. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why do people always relate to, okay, I love nature, then I must love all nature-related things? I must explain this, what for me this energy movement in nature truly means, because for me it means to not like watch videos of nature or what other people are doing with nature and their purpose. It's my own work with nature and my engagement. So this video, why I was called to make it through this a fusion of the Elohim consciousness that somehow speak through me as well, and their portion of consciousness and the way it wants to come through at the human level of understanding, is that it's an invitation for you to also know that this is first a journey towards your commitment to yourself. And the way this work comes through you, and for you it might come completely differently, the energy movement. So everyone must find their own way. For someone it might be, I don't know, some people dance in nature. Some people do these things, okay? And they have the intention that when they're doing it, they're interlocking their energy field with that of Earth. So I recommend that having this long introduction, we do some like a short activation or meditation with this message coming through at this time about this process. So let us invite the consciousness of the light beings known as the Elohim and see what messages they have to share with us, or they want to share with us in this moment for what is appropriate. Dear beloveds, we're gathered right before you here once again. But this time, we don't come so much with explanations, descriptions, words of understanding. We're coming with this invitation, a summoning of sorts. There has been already much sharing about the impact of different energetic choices that humanity is making while they're living on this earth, energetically known as Gaia. And Gaia is almost like you have a higher self, a higher vibratory field that you might even call or reference as your future self. Gaia is the template of Earth that exists at the level of a higher density. So, when you feel yourself now in the space, being called by Gaia from this higher density template, know that this is for a reason, because your density template has recently shifted a great deal. That is why those of you who have shifted a great deal will somehow be summoned up by the energy of Gaia, which you can look at as the future version of Gaia that is willing to come through divine dispensation and calling. Just like you are calling forth greater or majestic aspects of you that are bringing through codes of light that you require for your personal ascension. So Gaia is also creating a unity consciousness with all aspects, so that the aspects of life through which she also lives. So just as all humans live on earth their own personal realities, Gaia also experiences her reality through all these independent aspects or individualized aspects. Not just you as humans, but also all other life forms. So let us say that the energy or the essence of Gaia is the unified consciousness when all these aspects are seen and embraced as one through Christed consciousness. And that is why those aspects that have moved up with this higher density and they have done the inner integration work, they will be asked more of. Why? This, in case, is not a curse. This is not like in school when the more you had your capabilities of doing the homework, the more was expected from you, even if, let's say, you were just a 5th grader, but because you were so smart and independent in your thinking, much more was expected from you than other students. Well, this is not in that way, but is also in a way very similar, because everything functions at the level of frequency. So when you show up with a certain frequency embodiment, that will also be a requirement for you to step into and share within that field of expression. So at this time, because there's still a lot of confusion in the realm known as Earth, or this density you're experiencing as in a way that is still playing out and partially also collapsing in its expression, because it is completing its cycle. You will feel that this, your higher self aspect that intertwine with the aspect of Gaia, knows more perhaps than you do right now of where you need to be and how you need to be. So when you feel this summoning up, which we're now strongly invoking within you and those of you who are willing to listen, because it is so important, that it is a part of your divine dispensation, which means you don't make yourself sacrifices for this process simply because, oh, it is expected of you, or somehow, you have shown the work you can do, so more will be put upon your shoulders. No. This is simply knowing that the more you unify from within, the more you will connect with the aspect of Gaia, which is also unified. And because that aspect knows how to naturally synthesize energies, which requires a lot of energy movement, and a lot of energy has been put into motion as of late, where you are now, also at the density known as Earth, you will feel that. You will feel that as within your own cells, there is a tendency, a greater tendency to move your body. And a part of you, which still operates within a certain density, will think, well, that is because I need to look better or be more fit. While that might be an illusion behind which there is a greater calling, and this calling is, come on, we're inviting you to play at the higher level. So the faster your cells move, which you do create through body movement, the more momentum you can build, which means you're more aligning with the new Earth, not just probability or possibility, but a template that also exists, which you're co-creating with already. So there is absolutely no new Earth without a need for the life being experienced in that new Earth, because it all is a calling of the inner realm, which the souls are building as through their inner desire and template of that desire, which matches that frequency of that desire, which means the desire does not exist if there is no higher plan. And a manifestation does not exist without the desire itself. So the manifestation of this, what you call Gaia, or the higher level, will not exist without your desire to be more free flowing in your energy movement. And that's why when you create this movement within yourself, there's a greater desire, there's a greater calling, and there's a greater energetic input into that which you would call as the unified field of Earth that has become a higher density and form. It has shifted in its own vibrancy and structure, and it vibrates with a different template, which means there's a different playground now. And while you're enhancing your own playground, the way you operate within your bodies through life force mastery, you're helping to contribute to that co-creation of Gaia. Because remember again, it is all a mirror, it is a reflection. So the new earth, or you call it Gaia, the consciousness, in its expression to finally be her core authentic self, which is the highest authentic organic version of earth that has stepped into this neutrality zone beyond the intense war games of polarity playing out and strong victim, perpetrator, action, reaction, light, dark, good versus bad. And as these fields of realities are still playing out, you're also playing out your own game. And that's where being and participating with energy movement in your own playground is so important. So we're coming with the call, with the invitation for those of you who have not yet stepped fully into life force mastery to consider doing so, or even those of you who already are considering that, to truly gently thread and know that this step has been reassured, that you are supported on this path, and that your influence at this time is greatly necessary and needed. Because again, without the desire and the energy movement that brings forth the energy required for that desire to fulfill itself eventually and become a full manifestation, there is no such thing as that manifest, being manifest. So at this time, because so much is open and so much lies in your hands, we don't say it is only your responsibility. But if you are the key players here, if you do hold those roles, and those of you who do, you will know, because there's a stirring happening deep within your heart. And you do feel a call, you do feel a close connection with Gaia, and you do feel the summoning coming up. And this in no way can come through a mental creation, because physical density, this reality and the way it shifts and morphs into a higher density from the density of where it already knew itself to be and all experiences it already held within that density level. That call requires much more than just a mental reframing or restructuring. That's where the life force energy work is so important for you at this time. And those of you who are key players simply must engage in this process, because it is so deeply required that you activate and harmonize within yourself, activate your cells, bring in the energy movement instead of waiting passively for something to happen and for you to simply ascend. Ascension is an energy movement, constant co-creation, devotion to increasing the life quotient within yourself for the planetary life quotient as a result of your desire, of your conscious intent, increasing as well. So this is a powerful time. This is a calling for you to step up, to increase up a notch, and to trust this journey that whatever wants to move through you, that your vessel is physically well supported, because you do require your healing done first. That is why we said before, only those who have harmonized within yourselves can step into this higher energetic work. But because there's not so many of you, those of you who are here are so deeply required. And you are in a way important, because there was a grand assimilation of those of you who said, we're going to go that deep. And even we're willing to risk that maybe at a certain part of the journey we will get a little tangled up in these depths and these murky waters, but we'll always find our way back up by life force mastery. Because when you ride the waves of life force mastery, you become an expression of Holy Spirit itself, which always knows how to move and where to move. And that's what we have shared before about the white butterflies. Their movement is completely unpredictable. It is not a calculated movement. It is not the same as with bees, who have certain figures like a figure 8 and other forms of the way they move. The butterfly's movement is beautifully mysterious. It cannot be calculated and put it into math or equations. It's very similar with the life force mastery work that lies ahead of you. And we mean that by saying that you become the new, and that's how you create these new pathways. They have not been created before. That's why most of you don't know where you're going, and it might feel scary. But simply doing the energy movement work and the body work that's a part of that, it's not an equal, but it is a part, a great part, a great emphasis of the energy movement work with Gaia's fields. This is how you create it. And this is how you know in each moment you are creating it. And each moment brings a new opportunity for that body work that resonates with the energy of movement that is required in each moment, that would bring the fulfillment of highest potential in that moment. And that is all we have to share today with you. There will always be more when you're ready to receive more. We always share how much is necessary in each moment and how much we feel it can be received at the depth of the truth. Not what people might want to hear, but these are not such times. You must be very careful and observant and to discern between that which you feel you need to hear for you to move forward and that which simply is a natural way of moving forward without conditions of what you need or require to be at a level where you already are. You must simply remember that you already are within where you need to be within yourself at your core, and from that core you also have all the tools and resources available to you, because that life force master within you, no one can take away from you. The human's DNA was tempered with, but the life force is intact. It just hasn't been used properly. And that is why now, with this shifting process, that's becoming so important. The energy is already shifting. It is ready to shift. And the more you move the energy, the more engaged you become with this personal life force running through you, Gaia's life force, and the universal cosmic force of life, the more everything will begin to flow, not just for you, but the planet itself. And remember these wise words, that if the energy moved from thinking alone into your bodies, miracles would start unfolding, and you would just simply watch them occur right before your eyes. And you can, but you do have to step up. Don't be afraid. Step into this new, knowing that you are this new and that you are a powerful being and that your body has so much to offer to this planet. So therefore, don't render it to a piece of flesh that doesn't fit your expectations, but see it as a powerful vehicle, even with its seeming malfunctions that sometimes maybe some of you might perceive. Doesn't matter. Great energy waves can travel through if you will only allow it. Allow, 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 and watch these receptive waves create nothing but pure magic running through you. We thank you for your participation, for your time, and for listening the whole way through if you have. We're deeply honored to share this for those of you who are ready, and perhaps those who will be ready in their own time. These messages are timeless. Thank you. We love you all so very much. And thank you from me as well. Enjoy.